Wait. Here we go. Yo! It's time for a little Nerd Swag TV, my friends. My Nerd Swag TV. Man, we're excited about tonight. We've got some really cool things happening tonight.
Absolutely.
We've got our kind of weekly stash.
Yes.
We've got a very special guest going on. Yes,
a special guest you're going to love. And it's a gentleman that I met in New Orleans. Nolans in January of 2018.
That's awesome.
And within a couple of weeks, we had a publishing contract with Caliber Comics.
I love it.
We're going to talk about that and lots more because Andrea is the creator, author, writer, editor of The Shepherd, which is blowing things up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that this week, right? Or did we talk about it last week with the top 10 list?
We mentioned
we mentioned it. We'll talk about it some more.
That Comic Book Tom mentioned him,
right,
and or mentioned The Shepherd, number one.
Mm-hmm,
and you know, a lot of that just comes off of eBay sales and stuff. So
right.
But with that, you know, it's a great book. He's a great writer. He's a great editor. And we're giant fans. So
that's right.
We're just excited about that happening. So let's start with this. So let's go ahead and start with there we go. Got it centered there. Let's go ahead and start with because we're actually waiting for him to pop on. So
sure.
Now I don't know if y'all know this, and I don't know where you guys are watching from. Let me pop the comments on, see who's on. Nobody's on. Nobody is on. Where is all of our peoples? All right, so we got two people watching, so that's all. So let's go ahead and start out with our weekly stashes. Now, here's the deal. It was snowing, so everything that I should have gotten in the mail did not get in the mail. So
same here.
And we were even going to launch a new podcast where we do kind of the weekly reviews of the new comic books coming out. Obviously, that fell apart too, you know. So what we have isn't much, but I'm excited about what I have, and mainly because I think it's going to build some content for later. I'm going to see if anyone wants to go down this path with me. So you go ahead and go first. Show us what you got this week.
Okay. These are from some random pulls. I think maybe a couple
Explain a random pull to someone who doesn't know what that is.
Or a blind pull, random pull. You know, they'll call it a blind pull, which means they're going to take a one or a group of comics, 5, 3, you know, whatever, and they call it blind. But what did he say? He says, "Hi, I'm here, but I guess I don't count." Hey, Sal. Anyway, they will normally say it's a Marvel pull or it's a DC pull. Sometimes they'll say it's an X-Men pull. Be more specific.
Okay.
But these were just like
broad.
These are broad. Yeah.
Boxes.
You can say, give me a $20 pull from the Marvel group, or from, and they'll just call it. They'll also do indie, and they'll just say indie across the board.
Okay.
Which could be, you know, Image, any of them. So Dynamite, whatever. So anyway, that's what these are, and some of these, of course, aren't anything that I have been collecting, but I think I got some pretty cool covers going here. Here's the Phoenix cover.
Yeah.
Pretty nice variant cover.
Ten of Swords new one that's coming out? What is that? Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah.
That's just X-Men. Yeah.
Number 5 variant. So there's that. And this is like the, you know, kind of painting level stuff, you know, almost.
So you'll say like when you do these pools, you're just going to say, like they'll say, hey, right now we're doing a $20 pools. Is that guaranteeing you're going to get $20 value, or you're going to pay $20 and you just hope for the best?
It's pretty much that, but they say that you're going to get what you're going to get, and normally it's pretty close.
Okay.
And it'll vary. It'll be 5, 10, 20, 50. They'll do $150, $250 pulls.
Okay, I got you.
And like the 250s and they'll do 500s, and the 500s will have a couple of CGCs.
Nice.
You know, and then a whole stack of other books, or a short stack of books that are worth $20 or $30 a piece, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
And that's Elite Comics is the main one where I do the blind pulls, although other ones do that.
Yeah.
And we talked to Zach last week. He does like he'll have 2 books there set up to bid on, and you can see the cover, you know what you're bidding, and he'll have one blind. He'll just turn around and he'll have $15 on it. It'll have a sticky note, $12, and you say, "Give me C."
Nice.
And I did that last week and got a killer old original Iron Man and a couple of Thor. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. So that's
for the win.
Great deal. Yep.
In fact, let us know if you watched this last week with Zach, and let us know what you thought about that, because we're interested. If you are we like these online comic book auctions, and if some of the people running them want to talk with us, we'd be down to having a couple of conversations with people.
Absolutely.
Zach seems like a really cool guy. We like him. He's been around for 5-6 years, and he's a trusted source, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to understanding comic book value, and selling comic books. Dude knows his stuff.
He does. He does.
All right, what else did you end up with?
All right, here's another cool cover, Werewolf by Night. Of course, I have Werewolf by Night from
the original,
from the 70s. Yeah,
nice.
You know, so it's pretty cool. You know, it's kind of that woven looking, you know, from the 80s. Now,
isn't he a
90s.
part of the Sons of Midnight crew? Isn't he one of the guys that's on Sons of Midnight?
I don't know that.
Okay, I don't either.
I don't know. I don't.
I just know that there's a Marvel series coming out here pretty soon that's going to have that.
Here's a second one. They sold it. It was like a pair.
Okay.
You know, and it's another cool variant cover.
Yeah, that's cool.
And now these are signed, and if anybody has any idea who might have signed this, because they're sealed, and if you break the seal to look in there, you void the certificate and the
Oh, really?
authentication.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But
So I'll let you look at it. Here's another
It doesn't
one.
tell you who signed it, huh?
Well, they probably mentioned it back when I got it, and I
That's
didn't write
hilarious.
it down.
Yeah.
Here's the signature right here. Am I doing that right? Right there.
That's crazy too. Just tiny little signatures.
Anybody recognize that? Let me know.
Well, it's got to be. That looks like a K, so it's got to be this guy.
Yeah. Cordos.
Cordos.
I was thinking it might be Cordos.
I mean, that looks like a K.
And then there's exclamation point at the end.
I like it. I like it.
So
that's how you should sign your name.
Yeah. So these were. I can't remember what these were. They weren't cheap, but they weren't crazy high either. And so, you know, a couple of signed books sealed up. There was a little pull of Immortal Hulks.
Oh, sweet.
And this one is a retro cover, of course. It's an homage.
Way to go, Sal.
Homage cover.
Hey, Sal, let's when you get your box in, let's do a video of you unboxing it with us.
Yeah. It's all modern. I talked to Sal this morning, and we definitely want to see all that and talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You can send us images. Now, here's some more of the Immortal Hulk pull. Now, of course, this one that I showed you, everybody should recognize this and know this. This is an homage to the first official Hulk, which came from Tales to Astonish.
Yeah.
102.
Yeah.
Which I have.
Sweet.
Yay.
I love it, man. I love it. That's so cool.
And then,
and by the way, this Immortal Hulk series has been such a really cool. If you've not read it, I actually think it's ending at 50. I think they're about to end it at 50. It's a really kind of dark run, but a very cool story. It's been a great read. So if you're interested in it, that's a really great read to go back on it and get in the read on that. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead. What else did you do?
Last one, Immortal She-Hulk. Now she looks more hulky there than
I know, man. Yeah. Why are they doing that? I like the original Hulk, She-Hulk the best. Original She-Hulk was like, you know, like you knew she could beat you.
She was fit.
But she had
a figure. She wasn't the big bulky.
Yeah. Now it just looks like she could have her head on anyone. You wouldn't tell who she is. So.
Sure.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So
we see Andrea in the waiting room there.
All right. Yeah, he popped on. So we'll be talking with him in just a second. Okay, so my two things really aren't anything special, but I'm thinking about adding content, doing some stuff with it. So, Marvel's getting ready to do a Secret Invasion series is what we're hearing rumor of. And so I thought, man, I found this at Vintage Stock. It was clearanced out. So I got it for like, $6, $7, but it's all the Secret Invasion. So I'm thinking about getting into this and a couple of the older ones, going back into the older, back issues from the probably 70s, 80s, the Secret Invasion. And, so I'm thinking about looking into this.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
and we'll do a whole,
we'll do a whole scroll chin.
Yeah. So we'll do a whole kind of breakdown on what to expect when you look into that. And just finally finished this. I've been looking for this one, so I found this in the back issues. So just great cover. No, Sal, you cannot have it. I want this one. Just kidding. I don't know if he wants it or not. And then I got this one because I think Steve Ditko.
Yeah, that is Steve Ditko. I can tell by looking at it.
I like his art a lot. And he's another one I want to do. I'd like to do a whole episode just kind of showing some stuff that he's done and his style.
That looks like the original, Spider-Man, the way the first.
So I think it's kind of he does a cool style, very retro, and would be something interesting to look into. So I picked up those things. This is Speedball, The Masked Marvel number 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Number 2. Okay. Don't be jealous of my number 2. Anyways, nothing major, but it was snowing. So in a pinch, this is what I end up with. And it is what it is. So
we're going to have 100 books each next week. So get ready.
The mail.
Here it comes.
The mail will be delivered.
I got to get to the mailbox before my wife does. You know how that goes. Yeah. It's like, no, well, we got a couple of things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's bring on.
Yeah. Let's bring on. This is Andrea Molinari.
And he looks like he has a co-pilot tonight.
We're about to jump on there. Hopefully he's hearing us.
I can't hear you guys. No.
Oh, he can't hear us.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He can hear us.
You had me nervous for a second.
Okay.
No, I can hear you just fine.
To digress slightly, I saw your post about the puppies. Do you want to expound on that a little bit?
It's been a rough day.
Oh gosh.
No.
It's been a rough day. These two have tested. Yes, they're alive. They've been unharmed. No puppies were harmed in the making of this day, but only just slightly. There were a couple moments where I was thinking very seriously. It's like, there's got to be a way to return them. Get the deposit back. And,
they're defective. I need a refund.
We've got the grandkids this weekend, but the grand dogs, they're at the kennel because we're like, no grandkids, no grand dogs.
I was worried where that conversation was going to go. We got the grandkids. We're trying to return them.
No, we're having a ball spoiling the heck out of them. So anyway, all right. Well, everybody, this is Andrea Molinari. He is the writer-creator of the Shepherd and other stories too, other titles and things that we can let him expound on. And he has recently taken a position as senior editor.
Editorial director is the
editorial director at Scout Comics, which is
awesome. A couple of bucks will buy a cup of coffee. But
nice, yeah.
So tell us about what's going on. There's been so many things happening.
Yeah. Well, with the Shepherd, just kind of give you a little backstory. My son and I co-write it, and we brought it to Caliber. We ended up signing a contract at the end of 2014, and in May of 2015, the first volume was published. Caliber publishes only trades, so like graphic novels, which was fine for us because that's what the Shepherd is all about. We write complete stories. We don't. We really would have never had an interest in doing individual floppy issues. Although we are doing a little bit of that with Scout now, and it's fun. I mean, it's different, but we published that first novel in 2015, and we did 5-year stint with Caliber. And as we were drawing near to that, I mean, I've spent a lot of time out on, before COVID, we spent a lot of time out. As James would say, a lot of time out on the road going to comic conventions. And just to put in perspective, we did 26 shows in 2019. So we went from that to 100 miles an hour to 0 in 2020.
Wow.
Actually, it's not quite true. We did a couple in 2020 before the hammer came down. But as I was out there on the road, I kept bumping into guys from Scout Comics, which is based in Fort Myers, Florida, which it happens to be. I live in Florida in West Palm Beach, which is the Atlantic side. We're north of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. But if you almost go a direct line across the state from West Palm Beach, you'd run into Fort Myers, which is on the Gulf Coast. Anyway, we're running into these guys all the time. We get to talking about, what our beliefs are about comics and what our dreams are for, trying to build a comic company that is going to be strong and that's going to produce good stories. And it's, more and more we talked, that it became very clear that I was a good fit with them. And it started out that they had me do a little freelance editing for them, a couple of titles here and there, 2 or 3 to start. And it went really well. They liked the work that I was doing. And, basically they just said, we want to have you come on and do more. And more became, I have something like 66 titles now that I edit just for Scout. So,
Right.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Lot to manage.
Yeah, and I was fortunate. I think the reason why I can manage it is because I taught grad school for 7.5 years, and before that, about a 5-year stint doing undergraduate work. So, when you're used to getting, 30 graduate papers per class, and you have 3 classes at either at the end of the semester or the midterm, you learn how to handle that kind of work. And what you try to do, at least with comics, is, as James will tell you, it's like, come talk to me. We work intensely together, and then you have work that you have to go do on your own. And then, maybe a couple weeks later, maybe a few days later, maybe a couple months later, they come back with the next phase in the story. So it's a lot of like juggling, different titles at different stages of development.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
But I love it. I mean, I would compare it. I don't want to make it sound like a burden, because it isn't. It's a lot of fun. It's like playing with other people's toys, basically. Yeah. When you were a kid.
Well, I was just saying, the cool part about it is, I mean, there's some really great titles on Scout right now. The Phantom Star Killer is an epic one, and I mean, Shepard. By the way, we started talking about you 3 weeks ago or so, and then the next morning after we mentioned, that you edit also the Bobcat and everything, I got a notification on Key Collector that Comic Tom had put you on the top 10 list, and that you hit top 10 on Key Collector with the Shepherd. That was pretty exciting, man.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Did you get a notification on that, or did
I
you?
didn't actually. I didn't get a notification.
Yeah,
but it's like you have to kind of. I mean, this is going to sound a little strange, but it's all in a way you have to kind of keep an even keel about stuff like that, because ultimately, what your focus needs to be, and James and I talk about this all the time, it's producing the best stories.
Yeah.
And then there are going to be people that get what you do, and then there are people that won't get what you do.
Yeah.
And you can't allow yourself to ride that roller coaster too much. You just can't. I mean, it's because it'll just tear you apart. It's like, because, and again, I keep referring to James. He will tell you, you pour your guts into this stuff.
Yeah.
And you really do. I mean, you give everything you've got to it.
Yep.
I mean, and your treasure, your time, your passion to it. And, you obviously you want to write something that's meaningful to people, that resonates with them. And, but at the same time, that's not going to happen. I'll use this as an example. I once was asked to do some audio courses in Washington, D.C. So I went up there to do the recording, and because it was going to be in Washington, D.C., I brought my 2 oldest children. I have 3 children, and they were, teenagers at the time. And I took them out, let them come out of school, and we went, up there, drove up their road trip. And when we were there, my daughter in particular loves art. So we went to the National Galleries.
Nice.
Okay. Which if you haven't, you really should. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I can remember my reaction, like my son's reaction, my oldest son, who's my co-writer with the Shepherd. We went into the Renaissance period, and he just fell in love with it. He just absolutely loved that period. And my daughter's going, yeah, and then, that was her reaction, great painters. And she's like, and so we went to the modern art, and my daughter is going nuts.
Nice.
And my son is standing there. He's like, Dad, it's a white canvas.
Yeah.
With a black square.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's art. It's very subjective, and
right.
So
absolutely.
So that's the way it's going to be with your writing too. That's the moral of the story, is that there are people who are going to love it, and you just can't allow yourself to ride that roller coaster too much. It's good when it happens, but
you can't please everybody, but it's good to please most of the
people. I mean, ideally,
if you can please most of them, you're really killing it.
Your wife would be good,
at least enough that you can keep some more coming, I guess, would be
right.
Get other projects going too. Yeah. Well, let me ask this: where did the inspiration on the whole story behind the Shepherd come from?
Great question.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool question. I always enjoy telling this story. The story of the Shepherd, at least volume 1. The origin of the character, is based in a nightmare that I had about my own family.
Wow.
And oh yeah, real thing. And unlike, you know, I'm sure I would speak for yourself too. When you have a dream, you don't usually remember it. You know, most of the dreams that I have, I don't remember. They're like, you wake up and it's real vivid, and then it's like it fades away, just goes away, you know, fade to black. But this one was not like that. I woke up in a cold sweat. I'm shaking, and my wife is like, "What is wrong with you?" Because I'm like, my heart was pounding. I don't know if you've had this where you pound so much, you wake up, you kind of go bolt upright. And I told her, I said, "I don't think you want to know." And she's like, "Well, now I kind of do, you know." And I told her what had happened, and she's like, "I hate you. Why would you tell me?" I'm like,
I won't sleep tonight. Yeah.
Because you asked, you know. It's like, you know. But basically the dream in a nutshell was I dreamed that my oldest son, my co-writer, had he was a teenager at the time, like 16, I think, and 15 or 16, and he had gone out, told us he was going to go to a movie, went to a party instead, tried methamphetamine and died, you know, a drug overdose. And the dream wasn't just that.
Wow. Yeah.
But what was really like unsettling about the dream was it was like the roller coaster of the subsequent events. I mean, we're talking funeral home, grave site, you know, a week later, a month later, you know, the morning after that. And in the dream I dreamed that he was calling out to me from the other side and that he was in real trouble. And in my dream, I ended up taking my own life to go after him to try to save him in the afterlife.
Wow.
And, you know, that when I woke up, it was like that story had been like branded, like branding iron into me. And I couldn't forget it. And I wanted to. I mean, it literally took me like couple days, I think 2 or 3 days before I could, you know, bring myself to talk to my son about it, because I'm like, is this some kind of portent, or, you know, was the universe trying to warn me? And, you know, and when I did tell him, his whole reaction was like, "Dad, that's so cool." And I'm like, actually, it's not cool. It's really 180 degrees from cool, as far away from cool as possible.
You're like, it's cool as soon as I make sure you're saying no to drugs. You're never going to the theater, as long as we're in agreement on that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like from now on, when you go to the movie theater, I'll be with you. I'm going to sit right behind you.
Yeah.
You and Abraham Lincoln are not allowed at the theater.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so that's, you know, but when I talked to him about it, he was, you know, jazzed about the story. He thought the story was really cool. And he really felt that from the beginning. He said, "Dad, we need to do something with this story," you know. And his goal, I mean, he was really all about, you know, we should make this into some kind of a comic book or graphic novel. It sounds like a graphic novel, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I was teaching grad school, you know, or teaching undergrad at that time, but you know, I was busy. I had stuff to do. I was writing scholarly papers, and I didn't have time for that stuff. And it was June of 2011, when I actually got this, you know, lapse in my schedule. And I think he overheard me talking to my wife. I was like, "Hey, I turned in my last paper, and
nice
grades are in. I don't have to teach summer session.
Yeah.
I got a couple weeks on my hand. What am I going to do?"
Yeah. He's going, "Oh boy."
And, you know, he was like, "Dad, this is a perfect opportunity to write that story." And I'm like,
yeah, you're out of excuses now. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I'm like, "Okay, I tell you what, we sit down and we write this together. You know, I don't want to hear any more about it."
Nice.
Like, "Oh yeah, sure." I should have known that there was something going on there. So so we wrote it. It came out, you know, I tell people it came out like water. It just poured out, you know. And then when I wrote it, I thought, you know, he's like on my shoulder the whole time, like, you know, "Oh no, we need to say this or that."
Yeah.
And when it got done, I mean, I thought it was over, you know, but he's like, "Oh no, Dad, we've got to get an artist to do this."
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's how it all started. So
that's awesome. Who did the art on the book?
The original artist is Ryan Showers. He's out of Omaha, Nebraska originally.
Okay. Well, you got 3 cover variants that I've seen, and man, they're epic. You've got a glow in the dark one.
Yeah. I actually have a bunch of them here. There's actually There's actually 9 covers. Let's see if I have.
Is there 9?
There are 9 covers.
Or more.
So, I love that Comic Tom is helping people stay engaged in collecting and stuff. But sometimes he'll make mention of something, and all of a sudden it's impossible to get a hold of it. So I've been trying for 3 weeks to find a copy of The Shepherd that I could have to hold, when we do this interview.
Sure.
And
the trade is going to come out. The trade will be out in April. April 7th, I believe, is the day for the trade. And I'm really excited about that because I actually looked at the proofs of that, of what the cover is going to look like. I can actually show you. I don't know I guess you can share. If you want to see it, I'll show you what the cover looks like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Show everyone. George is on too. He's saying hi, by the way.
George says hi to you.
Hello. Hey, George. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while. I've been super busy, George. I swear to God.
I've been meaning to call you back.
No.
That 20, I promised you.
We did a YouTube show, and George, always wonderful contributor, loves comics, has a really good radar for good books and stuff like that. I mean, good man.
Yeah.
I'll share the screen here for you and see if that'll.
Now,
this is the cover, by the way, that I'm about to show you is the cover of the trade paperback.
Right.
So I'll show you the other ones, but this is the cover.
Yeah. That's cool.
That one's
I had that on the single book. I got a copy of that.
And this is this will be out and this is the cover that David Mack did for me. He's my favorite comic book artist.
Mm-hmm.
And David Mack, I'm sure most of your people know who that is. I mean, Marvel. He did a lot. I really Kabuki, of course, with Caliber Comics, and then Daredevil. He's well known for the Daredevil, but what I love is the imprint that I'm with at Scout is called Black Caravan.
Yes,
and they just sent this to me today, where they have the shepherd's face. It's a low res copy. I apologize.
Yeah,
but they have the shepherd's face on the spine. I thought that was a really tricky.
Yeah.
Rich Woodall, one of the co-publishers of Black Caravan, that's the name of our publisher. He did the graphic design for this, and I just really feel like he did he really did it with a lot of love.
This is going to be on Scout. Is this the web exclusive on Scout, or is this the trade?
So this is going to be the trade.
Standard trade now.
Enchilada. This is it right there. That's that'll be the whole book.
The trade is it issues 1, 2, and 3 like your first trade?
It's the first trade is actually 5 issues. It's about 120 pages.
Okay.
And the way that Scout does things is they have a thing called nonstop. And the way nonstop works, and that's all the Shepherd stories are going to be done nonstop. They come out with issue 1 as a floppy, so the collectors get to collect the issue 1.
Nice.
And then 2 months later, they come out with the whole shebang, the whole trade, drop it. So you have the collectability of issue 1 with the evergreen quality of the trade. And I love it because all of our books, Berto and I working on this. Thank you, Salvador. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. All of our books are written as novels. So ideally, like when you pick up the Shepherd Volume 1, it's written for you to pick it up and read it all basically in one sitting, because what I'm trying to do is cause like an emotional experience for you in that book. So that's the way we want you to read it. So awesome. Whether you can do it, life gets in the way sometimes, but that's the plan. So but anyway, talking about covers, this is the glow in the dark cover. Ryan G. Brown, and it does glow in the dark, which is ludicrous. I mean, why do you need? I mean, other than that, it's cool. Okay. I mean, it's very cool. But this is the question that we all need to at least recognize. It's the elephant in the room. Why do you need a glow in the dark cover? Seriously.
I'll tell you why. Oh, yeah, we got it.
Go ahead. I'm serious.
We are very similar in our weirdness. Yeah. We're very weird. Like on a Friday night, I'm going to read this book tonight. You get that thing under a bright spotlight, get it, glowing, and then go in there and like pull the covers over your head.
It does look cool. I mean, I will agree. The 12-year-old in me loves that cover.
That was my answer.
It sets the mood. Yeah. It sets the mood before you read the book. You got to have.
Oh yeah, that I guess that could be said. That could be true.
Yeah. Listen, half my collection is just covers I thought were beautiful. I didn't or weird covers. Sometimes I'll pick up a cover like I'm like, I gotta have this. Look at this thing. So yeah, that's hilarious. No, that's beautiful, man. I want to get a copy of that. That one's so cool. So
well, hit me up. I can send you one. I mean, that's why
I mentioned it that way.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yes,
we can send you one. Not a problem.
Winning.
So
just more covers. If you got,
yeah, sure. I've got a whole bunch. I mean, I have all of them here with me.
See them.
This is the this one actually. I'm going to take the price tag off it because this is the Rockstar. This is the Chase cover. This one goes right now is going $100 a pop.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And, this is
metal.
It is based. It's based on the tarot card, and the tarot card, the Hermit. So, which actually, ironically, is kind of a guiding figure in the Hermit. I don't really know a lot about very much at all about the tarot cards.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's actually a good match. It makes really good sense for the shepherd. But it's a gold leaf cover. It is very sought after, by collectors. Okay. I actually sold one yesterday and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I just sold a cover for $100. That was insane.
Did that go well yesterday? You guys had that signing with Brian Silver Paxton.
Yeah, we did. And it was fun. It was fun.
Good.
So good guys. I mean, they're always good to hang out with. You can't go wrong with those guys.
Yeah, Brian's a wild man.
He's fun. No doubt about it. And so let's see here. Of course, then this is the what I'm about to show you here. Hold on. Grab this one. Because some of these are the display. Some of these that I pulled are display copies, so they have the price tag on it. I don't want to interfere with the cover. This is the individual issue of David Mack. So that's it's Diamond B. And it's the way that Scout works. The Diamond B is kind of cool. If a comic book shop buys 10 copies of the Diamond A, they can buy as many of the Diamond B as you want. So this is a very affordable cover.
Yeah.
You should, if your comic book shop can, ordered it, they can order it. You can get it for like, $4 or $5.
Nice.
So, and I love David Mack. I mean, I'm a huge fan of watercolors, and I just love, I just think watercolors are a very difficult style of painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess one of the things I like about watercolors, and I'm no art expert or anything like that, but is that with watercolors, they always talk about like the happy accident, the mistake that can turn out to be a gift, and it can become like an integral part of the painting. And that's a really amazing thing. And so it's like the artist has to go in with a plan, but also have like the ability to audible.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty amazing from an artist's point of view.
Yeah.
This one here I'm about to show you is I'm obviously with my last name, this is going to come as a shock that I have Italian descent. I'm just go with me on this, believe me.
Okay.
But I'm blessed with the editing that I've done, that I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of creators that I've done editing for that are Italians. And one of the ones that I work with is this gentleman, Stefano Cardacelli. And I don't know how well I'm trying to avoid and he's another watercolor guy. In fact, what I'm going to do, let me share, that's the actual cover, but let me share so I can actually show you the actual cover with a little bit better of a close.
Yeah, I love the watercolors. That's what I've been into Peach Momoka lately too, because she does a lot of too, is the watercolors, and it's always gorgeous. I love that look. She did one that was all watercolors, mostly blacks and grays for the Darth Vader cover.
Wow.
It's epic. So
yeah, I believe it. Well, go ahead. I've got it up there. Go ahead.
Okay.
So this is Stefano Cardacelli's cover, and this is I think this is the web store exclusive. So Scout, you can get this on scoutcomics.com.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's going for like $15.
Yeah.
I am proud to say that I have the original.
Awesome.
But if you know anything about Stefano Cardacelli, and if you don't, you owe it to yourself to find out about this guy. He has these kind of crazy art that he does. He does a lot of sci-fi oriented books, a lot of robots, a lot of mecha type stuff, a lot of big guns. I'm forever teasing him about that gun isn't quite big enough there, Stefano. I'm like, I'm a little disappointed, it's not, howitzer. But his characters, and this behind me, this, if I can get out of the way here, that one right there behind me, that's Stefano's work right there. That one. But it's just, I'm in absolute love with his work. He's very talented, very humble guy, very kind, fun. He's got a great sense of humor. I think he'd be happy with a cup of coffee. Loves coffee.
Nice.
And cup of coffee and the tools to do the painting. And I think he'd be happy for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, very good guy. But that's the one I showed you there. That would be Stefano. So
very nice.
Then I can show you on here.
You probably got a couple left, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. So this one is the Diamond A. This is the one that most likely is easiest to find in your comic book shop. And that is the artwork. Actually, I'll take that out and show you that. One of the things that is the case with this particular, remember that the Shepherd Volume 1 was published originally, as I said, with Caliber Comics in 2015. But this one actually has a brand new story. And it's actually set in an Egyptian temple, mortuary temple, near Luxor, Egypt. And the shepherd actually encounters Anubis, Amut, the devourer of souls, and Thoth, the three of the couple gods and a goddess from Egyptian mythology. But it's a 12-page story that basically introduces the shepherd by kind of showing you him in action.
Wow.
So in other words, being more focused on letting you see him at work.
Yeah.
So it's a full-fledged version of what the shepherd is. Before we launch into we kind of go back into his origins. So how does he get to that place? But that is that's Diamond A, and the one, like I said, that you're more likely to find most commonly in the local comic book store. Now here's one that is actually patterned right off that. This is the black and white version of that cover. And you can see it's actually quite rare. It may be one of the rarest ones because we just didn't make that many of them. Like I only have 10. Actually, I gave away a couple of them, so I think I have 8 now. But and help me out, George. No, it is not being crowdfunded at all. I know. And here's the thing. I'll be real honest, is that I just don't have the time to do it. I just don't have the time to do it. I am so busy with the editing. Like I mentioned, I've got over 60 titles that I'm editing. I just don't have the emotional energy to do a crowdfunder. And luckily, I will say this is that the work that I'm doing as an editor, my wife is kind of like signed off on saying, yeah, just use that money primarily to fund the Shepherd so that I can kind of fund it myself, basically.
Wow.
That's a real gift that she's given to me to allow me to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful. But anyway, so yes, I mean, I'll probably need to go back and pull the plug on that. But I am going to grab the emails that I got and reach out to people. How do I send a heartbreak emoji?
Don't worry, Sal's got you.
I've missed you, George. I really have. I really have. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just there aren't enough hours in the day. There really aren't.
Yeah.
But I am sorry, but at the same time, not sorry because I'm spending those hours doing things that I think.
Yeah.
We're producing some really amazing stories, and I think that's where my time should be spent. Quite frankly, is doing that. So.
Sure.
Couple others.
One more thing. That I was going to say, you're doing the editing.
Yeah.
I think we have the edit round number 4 of the Bobcat.
I know. I downloaded the Bobcat. See, that's what I'm talking about, George. You want the Bobcat? I gotta, somebody's got to do that at some point, and there's only so many hours in the day. So, I'm trying to do it, but it's now. Let me see here. There's I'm going to show you one that is actually even more rare, and I'll tell you why it's super rare. Find it. Hold on. Hold on, puppy. I'm going to put my puppy down here so I can actually do this.
Yeah, we're all waiting, George, on the Bobcat.
Here we are. I'll tell you what, I'm so ready to get that thing to the printer.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
Well, while he's doing that, if you are watching, my suggestion is this: get on Scout, and you can get a lot of what he just showed on there, plus some other great stories to go along with that. So, all right, what else do you have for us?
Okay, so this is, I think, arguably the most rare cover, and I'll explain why. This is a variant, it's not metal, it's like a foil. I think it's foil variant of the Hermit. The Shepherd is the Hermit tarot card. And here's why it's like stupidly rare. They sent me like 10 copies of this, and there were only 250 made total, but like over half of them are damaged.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So that 250 went down to, it may be sub 100.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I'll tell you, they sent 10 of them. They're all damaged. Like all my 10 are damaged. Now they promised me that they're going to, make that right. But like I said, when you only make 250 and, at least half of them are damaged.
Yeah.
It's not a big count out there. So,
wow. So is the printer going to replace those, or what's going to happen?
I don't think they're going to do another run of it. I think they're just going to let it ride.
Okay.
I got to see, but I don't think the last I heard that was they were just going to stick with what they had. And,
wow.
So that'll be a very rare. And like I said, I have like 10 copies, but all of them are damaged, like corner, part of the problem is, when you have the printer and stuff, the brass, the upper echelon, the people that are running the show know how important it is to keep the comic books in good shape when they get there.
Yeah.
But the guy, if it doesn't filter down to the guy who's actually doing the packing.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't realize that if the corners are damaged, like if, and I know this is going to be hard to believe, but imagine things being shipped, that they get damaged in the shipping.
I mean, yeah.
Let me tell you a shipping story. I packed some books that I had signed, and it was like a stack. My cost was like over $100 worth of books. Okay. I was sending it to Jim Mesling in Iowa, in Des Moines, so he could get the signatures on there so I could send them out. So I packaged them so well. I did everything. I put the styrofoam corner stuff that it comes in.
That's nice too. Yeah.
I did the whole thing. He called me when they came in. He goes, "You're not going to like this." I was like, "What?" And he sent me some pictures. The corners of every single book, it's like the top right corner had this, not just a little thing. It was like this major crease, so that whoever did it, the box was not destroyed. They had to have like taken the box and thrown it against the wall with all their might to make that thing. These weren't just like little bitty things. It was like this huge damage, like there was a collision. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, yeah.
I believe it. I mean, I believe it.
And I shipped a media mail, and I'm telling you, there are postal workers in different parts of the country or whatever, or different postal stations that have this animosity towards media mail. They're like, I'm going to destroy this because
Yeah.
Well, you should have gone with the Pony Express.
Exactly.
In one piece. Yeah. Well, I've got a couple more I'll show you real quick here, and then we'll drop the whole cover topic. But the one I'm about to show you. This is done by Rich Woodall, who's, as I said, is the co-publisher. I don't know how well this is going to show up. Let me bring this one up, see if I can get this for you, and I might not.
Who was the artist on that, you said?
Rich Woodall. Let me see. I'll take it out of the package. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay.
Strong person. Hold on. Oh, wait.
There we go. So basically, if you can see this, it's like the shepherd surrounded by basically all these lost souls. which is interesting because no one's ever done that before. I mean, it's a very logical like topic for the shepherd, but no one's done it like that.
Wow.
Anything like that. So
the light on the staff too, and the way it illuminates everything.
Oh yeah,
cool, man, that's so good. That's so cool. Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, the shadowing and the light on that is amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that.
That was pretty amazing. And then I'll show you one more. And there is just, there's actually 2 variants of this particular cover, because there's one that actually has the shepherd logo, and then this one that doesn't. And the shepherd on the back, back cover. But then there's this one. This one's done by, hold on, I'll tell you in just a second.
George has a blank Rocketeer cover with a sketch drawn by Rich Woodall.
Do you really? How about that? That's cool. Very cool. All right, let's see here. Trying to see if I have this one. Oh, there we go. This one, I think I'll show it to you, but then if I can, I'm going to try to just share it. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd appreciate it if I showed it to you greater detail, but this is just
whoever invents the non.
This is done by a gentleman named Stan Yak. And this one really kind of grabs into that whole Egyptian mythology thing from the 12-page intro story.
Oh.
So let me go ahead and share that so you can get maybe a better look at it.
That was cool, man.
All right. So this crocodile-like character here is actually a goddess, an Egyptian goddess called Ammit, the devourer of souls. And according to the mythology, is that when a person dies, they're brought before a scale. Like, have you ever had this idea that your good deeds and bad deeds will be weighed in a scale in the afterlife? That's actually an ancient Egyptian concept. And basically what happens is your heart is actually weighed against Ma'at, the feather of truth, the goddess of truth. And the idea is if your heart is heavier than truth, then you're fed to the devourer of souls. But if your heart is pure and light and the feather is heavier than your heart, then you pass the scales, you pass the judgment, and you avoid what can't be very exciting or wonderful. Ammut. And Ammut is actually a goddess. That's important for the story, just so you know. And then, of course, this is Anubis as you look at it on your left, and then Thoth, the ibis-headed god. He's the scribe god. And then, of course, the shepherd battling them. But that was kind of cool that he picked up in that Egyptian story and ran with that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that's our covers. So, like I said, we had 9 of them.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Which is a lot of covers. It's just
but that's a great start. So my next question was, I'm going to jump back to volume 1 that this released through Black Caravan has 5 single issues, right?
Yes.
Now how many single issues did you have prior to this? Didn't you have some other on the previous publisher, some other trades that had several other issues?
Yeah, I mean, there are 3 volumes that were published by Caliber, and actually volumes 2 and 3 are one story.
Okay.
Called The Path of Souls, Path of Dogs.
Right.
And those are 6 total issues. So each of those would be 3 issues. And it's like, that one's a pretty lengthy story. That's like a 183-page novel. So that one's pretty good size.
So will that be volume 2 for you?
Yeah, we're going to do that one together, which is the way it should have been done. It was a mistake to separate them. I mean, I think the idea was good that, I think Caliber was concerned that if we charged too much, that people wouldn't be willing to pay, for it. But what I would have said is, let's, instead of $20, put it at $25, and it's 183 pages for $25. Maybe we don't make as much money on the story as we could, but it's better to keep it together because again, like I said, when we're writing these stories, we're thinking in terms of what emotions we can cause in the reader over the ebb and flow of the story. So we really want you to kind of read that, if not one sitting, as closely together as possible. And then, to have a trade drop and then months go by.
Yeah.
So like somebody reads that first volume and then doesn't have the second volume. And it's like,
right.
Nothing's resolved. I mean, nothing's
right. You want to catch them while the iron's hot.
Yeah. You lose some of the punch, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we're talking about pricing on things. One thing I've seen in the last few months, because I've gotten into the online auction thing more than I ever have, is there are hundreds and hundreds of people on these different ones. I mean, when you put them all together, they're not afraid to spend $50, $100 like that.
Yeah.
And they'll do it for blind stuff where they can't even see what they're going to get. They'll get maybe a general description of what it might be. And then, they'll drop variants. And I think both of your books, which I bought on a Tuesday night, before it was after store hours, but the auction was in the evening, and Wednesday, the next day, was your official release of the comic, and they sold out. And I think, what does that go for retail in the store? Is it $4 or $5?
The issue one, the primary cover is $3.99.
Yeah, they were selling them for $5, and they sold out.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's
I'm just saying.
Here, I'm glad. I mean, I'm really glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm working on getting some cool covers for the volume 2. And just so you know what volume 2 is about, is it's about a hospital in the afterlife for the souls of soldiers that are suffering from post-traumatic stress.
Wow.
And what's interesting from my perspective about it is that it involves soldiers from different time periods and different cultures.
Yeah.
So like we could tell many stories, obviously, because it's a hospital and you have all these different people. But the 4 main characters, there's a U.S. Marine who died in Fallujah 2004 in the November. That would be the second Battle of Fallujah. There is a Confederate soldier who died in Fredericksburg. That would be December 11th, 1862. There's a Napoleonic soldier who died at the Battle of Jaffa. This is when Napoleon invaded Egypt and eventually into what is modern day Israel. And he dies in Jaffa. This is March 9th. The battle is over. He dies subsequently after the battle, March 9th, 1799. And then the last one is a Wendat native. The white men called them Huron, but they called themselves Wendat. And he dies fighting the Iroquois in 1648. So you have, those are the 4 main characters that we meet, and we hear their stories, and they're all grounded in real battles and real things that happen. For example, the Wendat, he dies there's a great Iroquois invasion of the Wendat homeland, Wendake as they call it, that is in modern day Ontario. If you can picture this, like between Lake Erie and Lake Huron, to give you a sense of where it is geographically.
Okay.
And the Iroquois invade, and it's basically genocide. There are a few that survive. Like some of them went up into Quebec. Some ended up, believe it, I think it's down in Kansas. If my memory is serving me correctly, some of them ended up in Kansas. Some in Michigan, some in Wisconsin. But they were almost wiped out as a people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. That sounds like
stories that we tell. And we do it a little bit uniquely because what we try to do for the shepherd in general, seeing what you see isn't always what you get.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that in the afterlife, we imagine that souls see what they want to see. They create a reality around themselves.
Yeah.
And what we do with each of those soldiers is we have a different artist depict that whenever their story is being told, they have that artist.
Yeah.
So it switches between those artists. And
that'd be sick.
Yep. The idea is that, you see the afterlife through your own set of glasses.
Yeah.
And so the weird part about this hospital they're reliving, all these guys are reliving their battles that they fought, but they're reliving them simultaneously. So imagine like all of reality is like this stack of pancakes that are all existing in one pancake. That'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So the place that we come to, the hospital, is Fallujah, is Wendake, is Fredericksburg, it is Jaffa, and many, many other things all at the same time.
Wow.
And when they see each other, so like, let's say, for example, James might be a Zulu warrior and you might be a samurai who's fighting in feudal Japan or died in feudal Japan. And I might be like a British Tommy from World War I who died in the trenches.
Yeah.
And when I see you, I see other British Tommies. And when you see me as your cultural, equivalent. And we say things to each other. We understand each other. It's like our ability to understand. We understand each other, but every so often we say things that we confuse each other. It's like, our cultural assumptions kind of mess each other up a little bit. Like we're like, okay, what the heck? That's a weird thing to say,
Yeah.
But certain souls, like the way we imagine it, certain souls gravitate to each other because of they have similar experiences or other cultural things that bring them together. Like for us, the soul of the Frenchman and the Wendat actually bond together and become friends. And part of that is because the Huron or the Wendat were allied with the French, whereas the Iroquois were allied with the British. So it's like when the Wendat hears the Frenchman speaking, there's like an echo of something is familiar to him. Like he remembers. And so when he sees him, he doesn't see him as a Wendat. He sees him as one of the Iron People, which is what they called the French in the 17th century.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome.
That's going to be epic, man. That is.
And this story could only be written by a true historian like you, which
I love history.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It definitely comes out.
Yeah.
It definitely comes out in these. And Berto, my son, also is a big history buff too.
Nice.
So it's not, nobody's strained by having to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That's awesome. I love it, man. I can't wait to see that too. That's going to be great. When are you thinking that's going to launch?
Well, the first issue for that will be out in August.
Nice.
That's why I said we're working on cover artist. In fact, one of the artists that I'm trying to prevent myself from mispronouncing his last name. One of the artists that I'm talking with to get one of our covers, and I'm not sure right now. I'm not sure who's going to be the primary cover yet. But one of the ones I'm talking to, I dialogue with him today about it, is Riccardo Bercielli. I don't know if that name means anything to you, but he was the artist for DMZ.
Oh,
Okay. Wow.
With that. So
yeah.
a book that I really liked. And for me, it wasn't just about getting him as an artist, but it made sense because if you read DMZ, it's very military in its tone.
Yeah.
Because it imagines like New York City being basically a demilitarized zone, but controlled by these different factions and influenced by outside, powers and that sort of thing. So from having him do this, like a story about military figures, to me made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Wow. That's going to be cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
exciting. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
That is the news that is fit to print. And then that trade, we're looking for November for the trade for that collected Path of Souls.
Okay.
And everything will be available on Scout, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And then I guess Scout does have some, and maybe this is what we can tell people. If you're watching, you are interested, you don't want to get on Scout, go to your local comic book store and just start saying, hey, listen, there's these Scout titles I want. I'd love to have the Shepherd. And Scouts can set up between the local comic book shops, and that could be a part of your pool list.
Right. Or Diamond. I mean, is not you guys.
Yeah, we solicit through Diamond, but comic book shops, if they can buy directly from Scout, and I would recommend that they do so because you can save a lot of money. There's more money for them. I know this will shock you, but having a middleman in the between the middleman takes a lot of the meat on that bone.
That's weird. That's weird. That's weird.
Get me started about Diamond. You're not going to hear me say a lot of nice things about Diamond. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But they barely leave any marrow.
But you can order, and we encourage you because we want you to support your local comic book stores.
Yeah.
And let them know that you want to see the Scout titles. everybody loves the superheroes. We all grew up on the superheroes. I mean, that's one of the things that I always love about the Bobcat. The Bobcat is a fresh, unique, cool take on a superhero. That's why I saw it. When I first saw it, I was like, oh man, I want this book. It's beautiful. It's not ordinary. It's it's a superhero, and he does superhero things, but he does it back in the 1890s in a totally different setting, and with, of course, the Cherokee heritage and culture.
I love that.
It's so beautiful and powerful and should be celebrated. I mean, it's so part of our country, and I think maybe now we're just starting to realize that, that should be preserved and defended instead of persecuted and squashed.
Absolutely.
So that if we can tell stories with Native American characters, that is, I learned this as I was studying the Wendat. The way I researched that story was, in the early part of the 17th century, there was a Franciscan missionary, of all things, that lived with the Wendat.
Yeah.
And it's called The Long Journey into the Country of the Huron. And, oh God, I'm going to forget his name right now, but I'll have to look it up. But it is amazing because he literally lived there, and he talks about all aspects of their life, their religion, what food they ate, their relationships with each other, their burial practices. I mean, how they dealt with their enemies, which, by the way, if you're ever a time traveler and you have a choice between being caught as a prisoner of war by the Wendat, opt out. Do it. It's better to die in combat against them rather than to be taken. Don't.
That's good to know.
No. Well, the Iroquois, for that matter, not the Iroquois either. It's like, no.
Right. Yeah.
What you guys do to your prisoners? I'm going to die fighting. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You won't catch me.
And sharing all this actual historical facts while people are being entertained. That's the entire premise of the Bobcat and what I'm doing. We've got contained in there already, the Trail of Tears, of course, very significant. And we have the historical figures they really existed and they were there at the time. Jim Thorpe, and we've got.
I love having Thorpe. I think that is so darn. It's ridiculously cool. Nikola Tesla also.
Tesla's in there, right?
Years,
That's how Dr. Schott got his start, and I'm not spoiling anything because people have already seen that part of it.
Yeah,
but
it's a very cool title. It just really is, and Jim Mesling, I think, is just the right guy to be illustrating it.
Yeah,
and the way that it's illustrated with kind of an old westy kind of feel to it. I could see it being a television show that I think would be very cool.
That's what I keep saying.
An old west.
We're hoping. Yeah.
Well, and it's time. I mean, this is
it is time. If I could just work faster and move faster, it's something I struggle with every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this material out. I've got to make, but you have periods. For me, I'll have these bursts and I will just throw out this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. It's just flowing out of me. And then I'm just sitting there going,
I have an idea. We happen to have a vat of acid out back. We could just see if we could get you some superhero speed.
There you go.
We'll just start.
I'm going to say no. Let's not do that.
Well, you would know best. It works in the comic books. So I haven't found a spider earlier.
Or anything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a radioactive spider.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to get bit by a spider, I go with the gold.
Yeah. I love it. Well,
they wouldn't put on one of those uniforms. I always thought it was ridiculous. Like, I love Spider-Man, but if you think about like characters like the Rhino, what is going through that guy's head? Not a lot. It's like, here's what I want you to do. We've got this Rhino suit that we want you to wear. I'm like, what?
Well,
I'm not going to put on a Rhino suit.
Yeah.
No, that is not going to happen. I'm not putting on a Scorpion suit or anything. Dumb idea like that, because nothing good is going to happen from that.
Well, yeah, and the original Rhino suit, wasn't it like melded to his body where he couldn't
get it off? And if I'm memory serves, the same with the Scorpion. You can't get the damn thing off. I'm like, well, that's a good plan.
Yeah,
let's do that. That's what
I've got a
costume
right here. Some psoriasis
that it fuses with our body because
Well, if it's not that, it's gene splicing that turns you into an alligator.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, let's do dangerous and, you know, potentially hazardous, you know, because what could possibly go wrong?
To me, it's, you know, it is
two choices. You'll become a supervillain or a superhero. One of those.
Yeah. The only gene splicing that I want to do.
We should. Here's what we should do: is we should do a comic book of the story of all the characters who didn't survive their testing.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Shepherd can meet them, right?
Things are going well for the future Captain America.
Yeah.
Allergic reaction and wins anaphylactic shock.
Right. Yeah. You have a guy who's just got giant like muscles, but he can't move anywhere. He's just a ball of muscles instead of being.
Break a few eggs if you want to make an omelet, buddy.
That's right.
Sorry about that.
There's a whole army of green people. They just don't Hulk out. They just stay green.
Collateral damage.
Yeah. And they don't get big or strong. They just get green.
Yeah, they shrink down when they get depressed. Other than that, nothing.
No, I'm green. That's pretty much it. Like I can blend in with grass. That's what I can do. So
I think I'm gonna write this one for y'all. I'll send it your way soon. Yeah.
It's like Mystery Men. Do you remember the movie Mystery Men?
Oh yeah. Love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
My personal favorite is Ben Stiller's character. Is the Mr. Furious? I get angry. Okay. And then, I get furious.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's almost, it's funny because he'll get mad and people are looking at him. It's like he's almost innocuous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
I love it, man.
Yeah. That's a masterpiece of a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. I really do.
I love Wes Studi's portrayal of the Sphinx.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh
my God, that is so bad.
Yeah. I love it. And by the way, Wes Studi, I've never spoken to him face to face, but I've communicated with him online a little bit, and he is aware of the Bobcat. And I told him, I said, you need to be in this. And he didn't say yay or nay, but he was just like very nice about it. But cool. Anyway, he has an awareness of the Bobcat, and we've got we want him to play Abraham Firemaker, Will Firemaker's dad.
Oh wow!
If we could swing it, if things go far, whatever, And I don't think we'll have to train him on speaking Cherokee if he's going to be in the movie.
Is he Cherokee? Is that his tribe?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, cool.
He grew up.
Yeah.
He was fluent. He is fluent, but he didn't even speak English until he got to school.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. He'd have to tell you all the details, but his first language was Cherokee.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting some Choctaw. I hope I'm saying that right. Choctaw.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in Mississippi, which is my understanding is that's like the right area. I think.
Right.
Is
in that vicinity?
Is it? Am I right? I mean,
it's around there. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, they actually. I loved meeting them, and I was telling them about the work I was doing with the Wendat, and they actually shared some language with me, which was really. Every so often, I have the pleasure of meeting people from different tribes, and that is it's a gift because I don't get to do that very often, and you get a chance to talk to them about their culture and it's kind of sad to me in a way because they're always surprised that somebody would be interested.
Wow.
It's every time I meet them, it's like they're blown away that somebody would be interested. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I get that reaction. It's
a fascinating, amazing part of our history. And like I said, unfortunately, it was like our reaction to such a wealth of culture was to exterminate, which is tragic.
Yeah.
And saying, what can we share with each other? Like what can you give to us? We give to you and like benefit mutually. And instead we signed a lot of treaties and broke a lot of promises.
Yeah. That's a whole other can of worms we could discuss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Treaties, that's something like down the line on my wish list and my pie in the sky goals is to address some of that because there are elements of treaties that can be honored in this state, in Oklahoma. Yeah. We are, without disrupting or harming other people in the process of doing that and benefiting and following through the United States of America, keeping its word.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. This isn't like changing something or giving handouts. They made deals, contracts, everything. They altered these people's lives and displaced them in these treaties and gave them their, in perpetuity, these promises. So I think some of that can be honored, at least as a first step.
Yeah.
And it would be of benefit to the tribes in this state and elsewhere, and then take it from there. Because everything, once you take that first step, then things can be talked about and worked on, negotiated, whatever. And back to you saying that reaction from the Native American gentleman that you met, I know why they think that, because people they're like, you know what? I'm looking for something interesting today. And I'm going to go find out, I'm going to go study Native American history. No, they don't do it. They're not doing it. And part of what I wanted to do with the Bobcat, or do want to do, my end game, is to educate through entertainment. That's kind of a duh, but also to gain favor and to get people to love the character, love the story, and love everything, and then get a fact here and get a fact there. And then pretty soon they are wanting to go, they're like, I want to find out more about this. I want to go to Tahlequah. I want to go see the oldest buildings that exist in Oklahoma. Yeah. That kind of thing. And that's what I'm hoping.
I think the path that you're taking with the education and the entertainment together, I think is actually, if you stop and think about it, it's actually fully in tune with the Cherokee background that you have, because, what are the stories that are told? I mean, and this is true of really all cultures, the stories that are told around the campfires, the legends, the folklore, the mythology that's shared. I mean, it's old men typically, or old women, telling stories to young men and young women about lessons of what to do and what not to do. It's educational and entertainment. That's what it is.
Right.
It's always been. And that's the Bible, stories from the Bible. Those started out as tales around the
history. Yeah. Or oral history.
Yeah.
Well, and the crazy thing is, and I know it's an old saying, but it's true. It's like, we'll never progress and we'll never learn unless we know our history.
Yeah.
Yep. We see it still happens today. We do the same mistakes over and over, and it's because we don't understand. We never learned why it didn't work in the first place. We never explored it. I think another reason people want to leave alone the Native American history is because it does bring pain. There is a heritage behind it that has a lot of pain to it that people want to walk away from.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, one thing we work with this is, the end of Hunger Games, the book Hunger Games, the rebels that are trying to fight the system, having all the kids fight each other, have made up their mind. They're going to make the ones who put that system on them put their kids through the Hunger Games again.
Yeah.
Because what the point of that was just they weren't learning, they just haven't learned. I know that's a story, but that's what we do all the time. We don't learn, and then we put people through the same stuff over and over because we've not learned from our history. So yeah, I love it. I think it's important. I think it's important that we do what we can do to use the entertainment to bring in history.
Right, just to create the interest. That's the whole thing. All you got to do is just change in their mind how they categorize these things, and when it goes from drudgery over to I'm really getting into this, then you've gotten somewhere. Then you've accomplished something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's a matter of looking at our native tribes as a national treasure.
Yes.
And that's where we failed, is we haven't seen what is right in front of our face.
Yep.
And maybe that can still change, because I think people can change if they want to. And, I think one of the biggest mistakes that has been made, especially in recent years, but not just in recent years, is the fear of the other.
Wow. Yeah.
And, it's like we demonize Mexicans. They're just people. And there are good people from Mexico. There are bad people from Mexico. And guess what? You can say the same for every country on the planet.
Every ethnicity.
Every country on the planet.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I've met a lot of Mexican people, and a lot of really cool people that I've met. I met a lot of really wonderful people from other countries in Central America and South America. I just feel like a lot of times it's so easy to blame somebody else for our problems, or to demonize somebody else. And that's an easy, lazy way out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really is. And there's a show that my wife and I actually watched on Netflix that I would recommend. It's actually about cooking. And I'm trying to remember now what the actual name of it is, but it's like the lady, I think her name is like Lakshmi. She's like of Indian descent. You can find it's on Netflix. But anyway, what she does in her show is she talks about the connection of food and culture, and how she talks about how food can be like the entree into meeting someone else. It's the entree to the other, because like if you like somebody else's food, their cultural food, that might give you the willingness to be able to have open into a dialogue about more.
That's the same concept, the same thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I mean, think about it. It's like Americans love Mexican food. And yet we seem to have this problem with the people who make the Mexican food. Not realize like a lot of our Mexican food is really, like an Americanized version of that. But I'm just saying is that we don't have to demonize the other. We don't have to put ourselves off to people. I think we can open up ourselves and
opening dialogue. A lot of what's going on our planet right now is just a lack of dialogue that's happening with anyone. When you sit down with other people and you have the courage to just ask questions, to just live life with people, it really does break down a lot of the misconceptions a lot of people have. And so, but right now, with the other thing is, it's like everyone jumps in their own corners right now. And it's like, if you don't have the same opinion as me, we can't hang, Yeah.
And you don't have to, you're not going to agree with everybody. Let's be realistic. I mean, and would you really want to be in that world where everybody thinks alike? I mean, that'd be boring.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, even from a sports point of view.
Oh, yeah.
If everybody likes the team you like, what fun is that?
Yeah. Right.
That's not fun.
And not, we've got to keep the dialogue open and not shut people down. I mean, that was.
I hated all the teams that I hate. That was really nice.
Hey, Roberto.
Jim?
No,
James. James Housley.
Yes, sir. Haven't seen you. Long time no see. I guess I saw you last in January of 20.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Hey. Yeah. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
I forgot. I
was going to say, just we probably need to start wrapping it up. I'm sure.
You guys need to get back to it. It's after 9 where you're at.
So, but I was going to say, that is the thing I love about the nerd culture. Is what brought me in was it always has seemed to include everyone. There's always been a space for everyone.
Common ground.
Yeah. And so it's what I hope we can maintain throughout all this, is that there'll always be places for people to have their voices, their opinion, their art, and that can be there, because there's something beautiful about this, especially comics, man. It's just, it's like with comics, everyone can be a hero, and everyone can be a part, and everyone has a part to play in it. And I don't know. I think it's an exciting place that offers us. So
I agree.
I agree. Well, let's do this. We probably should start wrapping it up. We've sucked all the internets for the night, and I didn't mean we sucked at it. I just mean like we took it all.
We sucked it
ourselves.
We took it in.
We inhaled it.
We ingested it. Yes.
Thank you for getting my foot out of my mouth. That was awesome. But yeah, tell everyone where they can find more on the Shepherd and find you, and just kind of where they can follow you at.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly we're always happy to have people, support. It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
I would say, Facebook, The Shepherd Comic.
Okay.
And by the way, one of the things I've noticed is that the spelling of The Shepherd seems to be a problem. I had no idea when I chose that title that we were going to have all these variant spellings. Talk about variant covers. You got variant spellings. Look very carefully at this thing right there. That's how it's spelled. Shepherd.
That second H is a killer right there.
Yeah.
So The Shepherd Comic, that is Facebook. It's the same for Instagram. Those are the two main ones. We're on Twitter, The Shepherd Com. There wasn't enough letters for The Shepherd Comic. But most of that is stuff that you see. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter because for me, it's like junior high. And I'm like, okay, did that, been there, doing that. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So
that's awesome. Right.
We're on it, but those are two places to find us. And of course you can find Black Caravan. Am I still here? Okay.
Yeah, you're there. You're there
for a second, but you can find us on the Black Caravan website as well. And that is theblackcaravan.com. And remember, the Black Caravan is a sub-imprint of Scout that focuses on horror, fantasy, sci-fi. And then, of course, scoutcomics.com is where you'll find a lot of the work that I do, particularly as an editor. You'll see a lot of the titles that I work on there.
All right.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. So James, tell them where they can follow you. I'm easy. I'm just on Facebook.
Thebobcat.net. I think my nephew is working on the web page right now, but I think you can get there. I don't know what all he's got going on. It's partially disassembled or whatever, but thebobcat.net. On Facebook, we've got the Bobcat page, and if you just type in the Bobcat, it'll give you some different options, and it'll say fictional character, and you're in the right place. And you can follow me, James Hostler, on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. And basically the Bobcat's identity on Instagram is just through me. I don't have a Bobcat Instagram page. Maybe I need to do that.
That's hilarious.
But so those are all the places. And of course, for the moment, volume 1 of the trade is available on Amazon. And you can usually, Amazon, the price fluctuates, but the book is, basically $19, like $18.99. But I've seen it go down to like 13 something. And then it'll be 15, and then it'll be 16. And because they print on demand, I believe that's the term that they use, they just decide what they want to sell it for. And so if somebody's looking for it, you might just check on there, because if they've got the price down, it'll be below sticker price. And if you've got Prime, they'll deliver it to you for free.
There we go. So, I love it. And then you can follow me on Instagram. I'm I'm Nerd Pastor Swag, and I just post all my comic book stuff. And I'm thinking about doing a comic book and religion talk at some point if anyone's interested in that. So follow me there, and then help us out, like and subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube, and share, man. Share. If you've made it this far, you're our peeps. We love you.
That's right.
We love you more than a friend.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week, next Sunday. Bye, guys.
All right. See you, Andrea.